Weekly with Samm Marshall is a podcast series that engages with people that have set a bar for themselves in how they see the world and what they're willing to do to change it. People have built, designed, created thought, and imagined through creativity and imagination. Every week on the Weekly, we unpack and strip ideas and concepts we are completely terrified of. Welcome to the Weekly with me, Samm Marshall, and today is a very special conversation we're having. We're having one with Samm Subramani, and we are coming to you live from the offices of BASA, that's Business Arts South Africa, where Samm is on the board and she's the chair. She's also a change activist. It means that she gets involved, she rolls up her sleeves, she gets involved in people's lives, not only from a personal perspective, but from a business perspective too. So we're going to have a really candid conversation for the next 22 minutes. And Samm has agreed to give us that time. Samm, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
So one of the reasons I'm talking to you is you wrote an article on your own website, which is sammsubramani.com, and it's kind of a platform where you engage with people, you share thought leadership, you kind of drive conversation. What made you write this particular article around jobs, not only highlighting the problems but also looking at the solutions?
Sam, we find ourselves in a situation where the unemployment rate is high and it's going up on a quarterly basis. The fact that when I do interact with people, whether I'm coaching or just having conversations, there is no hope. And there's so many people feel that they have to have employment via institutions or companies. And I'm trying to drive the point, I am driving the point, that you have the resources and the ability to generate income. You just need to start.
But it's not as simple as that, because you do highlight some issues that is really challenging South Africa at the moment. What are some of those issues?
The reality is, corporates don't really want to expand because of the uncertainty relating to policies, governmental policies. We don't have courageous leaders, and that's a fact, whether it's from a corporate perspective as well as from a business, from a governmental perspective. And that's also impacting growth and the way people actually feel. So if we're all going to just wait and not take action, years are going to go by. And people are not going to develop the relevant skills to be able to generate the income that they need to. So yes, it's not easy, but if you don't start, you're never, ever going to get ahead.
Now, you know, this is interesting because you kind of straddle both spaces for me. You come from a corporate background where you've, and I don't just mean kind of mid-level corporate, I mean kind of multinational corporate. And you've led teams, and now you are, and maybe always have been, involved with BASA, you're involved with different organizations, you're mentoring on a personal level, you're mentoring on a business level. Where's the disconnect? Because you're saying leaders are not as courageous as they should be. You're also a leader.
I am a leader, and I serve on a number of boards, and having the opportunity to sit on some of those boards, I get to realize as to when the opportunity presents itself to take the decision that's right, people battle to make decisive decisions. And that has impact on the way the businesses are run, as well as on the impact it actually have on the employees. So I'm not saying that I'm not part of the problem. I am part of the problem. And having been there and understand the problem, I want to actually change that.
How do you then speak to other leaders? How do you get other leaders to start being more decisive? How do you get them to say that, listen, if we, I mean, for example, CSI is a 9.7 billion rand business. That's a ton of money. Anglo-American this morning, through one of the ads on the radio, is committed to over 500 million rand towards education. So there is money, but how do we drive leadership in a constructive way that does create those jobs, and at the same time also share a message with Samm to say, don't wait for those jobs, but create your own. It feels for me as if this pipeline is way too long and there are just too many segments in this pipeline.
Okay, I agree with you actually, and I feel the same way. So what you're doing in getting the message out there is fantastic. So what we could do going forward is get all of those leaders into a room and collectively decide as to how we, instead of having fragmentation, work together so we'll have a greater impact. Because right now I'm doing my bit, and I know, I mean, if you look at Patrice Motsepe and their foundation are doing their bit, and all the other organizations are doing the bit. So in time, once we drive out this message, we'll get everybody in the room and let's do something that's going to have that drastic effect. But I still say people need to take action for their own future, because nobody's going to change that, only they can. Whether it's hustling, whether it's learning a new skill, understanding what's out there, and not living in a hopeless situation. Because if you don't take action, you're not going to progress to the level that you need to. And that's been my experience and my personal experience.
I want to look at some of those solutions, and I'm very interested in looking at some of those solutions. But I still want to talk a little bit about kind of this, where we're finding ourselves, the situation we're finding ourselves in at the moment, and kind of the status of things. So you're right. There is opportunity for leadership to step in. But for me, the big question I really want to ask is, why are leaders not thinking about solutions? They're thinking about solutions in silos, but they're not. They do belong to organizations like Business Unity South Africa and many of these things, Proudly South Africa. Why hasn't it not organically grown into saying, guys, let's work out a solution together?
Sam, I wish I could actually answer that completely for you, but I think primarily corporates have been focusing on the bottom line more than anything else. And even though they allocate money for CSI spend and things, the reality is they do allocate money, but they would like some sort of return out of it. So the true intent is not always as genuine as one would like for it to be.
Opportunities like enterprise supply development, is there an opportunity there to grow?
Oh, absolutely. What we do need as leaders is to, and I think this is something I'm going to drive, get leaders into the room to be able to fully flesh out as to how we have an impact from an enterprise development point of view, because that will create jobs. There's a whole lot of possibilities and projects that we could work on to help people. Obviously, I'll go on to saying individuals need to take action for their own accountability. And once they've developed the right attitude, trust me, people would want to support them and actually open those employment doors or open the opportunity to earn incomes. But if you choose not to and just sit and wait for things to come to you, you're going to be despondent. You're not going to have the right attitude to succeed, because attitude does play a major role in one's success.
I remember there's a line that says attitude determines altitude.
It does, actually.
I saw it somewhere. I thought it was cheesy at the time. But listen, let me ask you this other question. And in this conversation, we've kind of looked at a lot of things. But in your article, you also identify 4IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, as a potential hamper to growth and business. And I think maybe, and I've thought a lot about it, is it because that there's so little, not information, but we are not as au fait as we should be on the subject matter of 4IR as subject matter experts?
Well, I'm no expert, actually. I had a conversation with a very interesting expert on it, Ziad Suleiman, the Chief Operating Officer of IBM, and he shared some amazing insights. I wouldn't say it kind of hampers growth. I mean, it has the potential of having immense value, but there's a likelihood, like everything else, when there's change, there's a possibility of people losing jobs. But what I did like about the conversation I had with him was the fact that there is a group of competitors, and you know competitors never really work together, who sit in the room and actually thrashing out as to how to minimize the impact on jobs and how to upskill and reskill people. So that excited me. So just to highlight the fact that there's a lot of projects actually happening that we're not aware about. And once we bring this to light and start working with different people, we have the ability to create hope, change minds, and get people excited to build their skills and get out there and believe that things are possible.
How do you, from a leadership perspective, bring that into spaces like BASA? Because today we're at their offices, we're recording in the boardroom. If you hear the banging of a door here and there, it's just staff clocking in the morning. How do you bring that into your conversation on a weekly basis? How do you make sure that technology drives conversations, that it also kind of leads to new opportunities, but at the same time kind of allay the fears of staff members that are worrying about their jobs, because it is a super tough economy at the moment?
It is a super tough economy. There's no doubt about it. But the fact is, if you continue to develop your skill, understand what's required, I don't believe in being a specialist, and that's why I wear so many hats. Develop diverse skills. So what does it actually do? It actually helps you be relevant in situations that you need to be. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
I mean, it's like diversifying income streams. I constantly tell people, don't rely on one income stream. Have multiple income stream. If the one doesn't come in, you have the opportunity. You still get income. And that's with regards to, you cannot afford to be a specialist, not in this day and age.
But with all due respect, not everybody is the Charmaine Subramani. Not everybody is talking about diversifying of income streams, embrace change, looking at succession planning within leadership, and also mitigating risks against 4IR and reskilling.
I want everybody to be able to look at it, and therefore I kind of not preach, but try and spread that word. And you need to, Sam. I mean, my life journey has never been easy, but there have been so many challenges in life that actually makes you realize that you need to have backup plans. And in hindsight, these challenges was the best thing that could possibly happen to me.
So okay, I'm a little bit confused because I've got to ask you this question. I come from an era where there was an idea that if you have a backup plan, you've always got one foot out of the door.
Oh, really?
Right. And I mean, remember our parents taught us to kind of deep dive into whatever you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Now we're saying we're in a slashy generation, diversifying of income streams and all of that kind of stuff. So how does somebody reskill, reimagine, redesign, rethink their life plan, especially in a situation where finding a job is tough, the unemployment numbers are up, the president is really trying to drive investment. I mean, there's an investment summit today happening, and he's got to deliver on a couple of things. How do you, as somebody 40 plus, coming from that era, how do you reimagine a new life?
Well, my life I've been planning it in my 20s already.
Yeah, but you're fortunate.
I wouldn't call it fortunate.
Fortunate.
I call it taking action at an early age.
Okay.
People could classify that as being fortunate, but the point I'm making, you need to take action. If you look at my background, right? My background is law. I have my master's in finance. I'm skilled in design and fashion. I'm a master coach and life coach. I've done interior deco. So I've done a whole lot of stuff. And the reason for it is to be able to keep my mind busy, but also see where I could actually utilize it to generate income in eventualities that may possibly happen.
I think one of the things you talk about, and we'll talk about it now, one of the things that you talked about is that there's a lot of free opportunities online that people...
Upskilling opportunities,
yeah, upskilling opportunities that people are not taking advantage of.
When I chatted to Ziad, he actually told me about IBM actually has it's called, it's DNA, and I will share this site with you later on, where you could actually learn to code. So if that's an interest, and the fact that we are going the 4IR route, coding is something that we should all have an idea or a feel for. You don't have to be an expert on it. Then you actually have some sites called Udemy that offers like 100 Rand courses that you could actually do to learn, understand. And whilst doing it, I've done a couple of those. As you're aware, I've built stuff that, even though I'm not technologically savvy. So I've started doing these things.
And it works, right?
And it works, and it's fantastic. So I'm very proud of that achievement. So we need to stop saying, I can't do it. Say, I can do it, try to do it. And that learning is just amazing at every level. The satisfaction of having done a job, right? The ability to be able to have conversations with people at that level. So my point is, we all accountable and responsible for our well-being as well as our ability to skill ourselves, and everything is possible. You just need to believe in yourself and start somewhere.
So I'm going to sit on the fence here. I'm going to ask the tough question.
Please do.
Not everybody starts at the same point in life. Not everybody has the same opportunities.
Okay.
Not everybody has access to the same things. So that conversation and saying you have the ability, most people don't even know where to begin. How do you begin if you don't know where to begin?
Well, I'm trying to help people to say where to begin. I mean, I like the fact that you make the point that not everybody has the opportunities.
And by the way, can I interject? Not everybody's meant to own a business either.
I know.
Entrepreneurship is something complete. It's a different animal to being an employee.
I'm not asking that everybody actually becomes an entrepreneur. What I'm actually asking you is to have an attitude, change your attitude to believe that you can achieve and generate income. I'm going to give you an example. A few years back, I used to drive down to work via Morningside Shopping Centre. I think that was Outspan. And there used to be an outsurance people directing traffic. There was an amazing woman. Her attitude was just mind-blowing, the way she directed traffic, the way she laughed, smiled, whatever. Do you know what actually happened after a while? I built a relationship with her. She managed to get a job in a year and grew her career in corporate. So the point I'm making is whatever you do, whether we sweep the streets or whether we
do it with passion,
do it with passion and energy,
people can see it.
People can notice it. And people like people with good with a positive attitude, good energy, because that becomes contagious.
What are some of the other tips that you shared in your article on ShamaineSubramani.com that you kind of highlight that you can drive? And I think one of this, you talked about develop a positive attitude, positive can-do attitude, assess the skills we have and the skills we need. Talk to me about that a little.
I mean, if you actually ask me what my skill set is, I mean, I'm basically going to say, finance and law. But I do have other skill sets, like the ability to network and connect people. And by doing that, when I assess it, I realize, that's what I'm actually good at, and I can actually help people that way. So we all have or focus on our core, but we have other skill sets that we could utilize to benefit oneself as well as others. So that's what I'm trying to ask people. Don't believe you don't have value to give, because we all do. Just dive deep down and understand what it is that you have to offer and start building on that.
Develop a solution-driven mindset. And I think, I think that is such a great tip. But the problem is...
it's not a problem.
No, or the challenges.
The challenges.
The challenges. It's just it's another word for problem.
I know. I don't like problems, actually.
The challenge is that being solution-driven means you've got to put on a completely different hat. Most people... when they are stuck in the mire, when they are about to lose their job, when they've got their back against the wall, a solution-driven mindset is the farthest thing from accessing, because that could actually help you out of your current problem. But what you do is you wallow.
Okay. I mean, I hear you and I understand that. But the fact is, if you choose not to develop that, you are not going to have the mindset to look beyond that problem. That problem that you're focusing on is just going to limit you and prevent you from actually acting. Yes, I hear you. Losing a job is frightening. But that's one of the reasons you need to go, you know what, I am in the process of losing my job. I have a month to be able to generate an income. Let me look at the other possibilities that I could start working on instead of worrying about it.
And it's quite interesting. Some people you'll find that. So I personally know somebody who hasn't had a job in 30 years, but she taught herself. She needed to how to do bookkeeping, took a couple of bookkeeping skills, and now does bookkeeping for a couple of restaurants. She's a seamstress. So she used to...
I'm a seamstress too.
You're a seamstress too. So she's made a lot of matric dresses, and she's now making uniforms. So she's kind of found ways to cope with the kind of life happening. And that's really what you're saying.
That's what I'm actually saying, though. And you need to, because that will help you generate the income. Live a life that you need to, actually, because let's face it, without money, it's difficult to pay the
No,
rent.
it's the truth. It's the truth.
So you need to believe in yourself and just go out there and just make it happen.
Then I'm not gonna go through all the points because we're running out of time, but I want to touch on 2 points, and I think that's very, very important. Learn the art of hustling and to hustle. Now, I know a ton of people, and I can tell you that's very difficult. I'm good at hustling. It's one of my superpowers.
Fantastic.
But not everybody's got a hustling superpower.
But you know
How
what?
do you learn to hustle?
You need to fake it sometimes. Let's be honest. If you're going to walk into a room and stand in the corner, you're going to miss out on opportunities. You're going to miss out on having a conversation with people. And you're going to miss out on being able to tell them what you're about and what you have to offer. So that's my point. Walk in a room and if an opportunity presents yourself to be around people and engage with people, don't shy away from it.
And how important is there's so many good points that you've highlighted in
Thank you,
in your
Sam.
article, and I think they kind of make sense. If you're not down on them, I think somebody will be able to find a gem that speaks to them. But for me, the other important thing is, and I think it's we talk about it, we say it. It's a nice word to say.
What, hustle?
We say it often. I'm going to tell you what the word is, and this word is the kind of word that when you in power. It's a really cool word. You're doing it already, but when you're not in power or you're not coming from a position of power, it's quite difficult. Collaboration. How important is collaboration? Because I'm sure that there are 4 women in a group where one can sell, one can sew, one knows some techniques around developing content, but they're not collaborating.
It's strange that you actually say 4 women in a group. I'm in a collaborative arrangement with 4 amazing women at the moment, and may I share their names?
Yeah, you can.
It's Melissa Dolphin. She's from the UK, and she's a divorce mediator. Kubeshni Govender-Jones, and she's also a producer, as well as the chair of Genderlings, as well as Francesca Fonso, who is the ambassador for women abuse in South Africa. Okay. And we all all want to empower people. So we've come together, and we are still in the process of launching a hashtag and a
platform.
And a platform that called Each One Hold One.
Yeah.
And the objective is to be able to ensure that collaboration spreads like wildfire and help each one build their businesses, build their practices, build their skill sets, understand their skill sets, and just move that forward. So we're all doing our bits. We need to bring the leaders with money together to be able to have that more dramatic effect. But my message, I'm going to leave everybody. Please change your attitude, believe in yourselves, develop your varied skills, and you will attract the right people to help and support you.
100%. So that's how we come to the end of the weekly with me, Samm Marshall. You're able to find this article. That is Charmaine banging into something. But
I'm sorry, people.
But you're able to find this article on charmainesubramani.com. It's her platform. And on a weekly basis or a regular basis, she engages with audiences. She kind of wants you to challenge yourself, to kind of understand the role that you play, not only within your own space, but also in society at large. And you can follow her on some of her social media platforms, but mainly on charmainesubramani.com, where on a weekly basis she unpacks a ton of content. This is the weekly with Samm Marshall. Guess what?
Yo, what's up? Baby, let's go.